Okay, the racing continues here now then. We've got the Ducati TriOptions Cup next with Jack Bernicle, and I imagine still catching his breath back after that race one victory for family friend Josh Waters is Neil Mackenzie.
He's far too fit a man to be out of breath. Mr. Mackenzie's arrived in cool shape in his Ducati top.
Resting heart rate of 45.
Now, this was some race yesterday. These guys have already raced the Ducati TriOptions Cup here at Assen yesterday afternoon. Dennis Hobbs broke through to take the lead in the closing laps of the race. Behind him, it was mayhem. Leon Morris, leading the championship from his teammate Hobbs, was in second place until the last chicane, and he crossed the line fourth. He came under an initial assault from pole sitter Rob Gyver, and as Gyver went underneath Morris, Marty Nutt, brilliantly, the defending champion, danced underneath the two of them to snatch second place from fourth, and that meant that Leon Morris ended up with just 13 points for fourth place, and suddenly the championship blown wide open. Just 10 points separate the two men at the top of the championship table. It is a very, very close one to call. So Dennis Hobbs then has a 10-point championship advantage for the Ducati Coventry JHP racing team. I beg your pardon, for the Carl Cox racing team from his teammate Leon Morris. They're on the front row of the grid, and for Ducati Coventry JHP racing, Marty Nutt, the travel consultant from Coleraine, will also line up on the front row of the grid. The conditions looking rather better than they were for the superbikes a few moments ago.
They are, but at the bottom half of the track it's still pretty wet. Nearly all of these guys on a wet front tyre and dry rear. The exception of Rob Gyver, who I believe has got dry front and rear, and he's maybe gambled on the track drying up. For sure it will dry up. The sun's out now, the temperature's coming up, but yeah, it's still tricky then you've got a dry front end on the initial laps. They've got 2 warm-up laps now just to get a feel for the track, and things will improve. The dry line will increase. Most of these guys will run their they'll dry settings for suspension, which means that the tyres have got a bit more life in them, but still tricky conditions, especially on the opening laps.
You can see that we still have threatening clouds mixed with sunshine. How often have we had this when we visited the Netherlands, whether for MotoGP, World Superbike or British Superbike competition? This is the 3rd season the British Superbike paddock has visited this beautiful 2.822 mile circuit. And if you haven't been here yet to have a look at it yourself, well, it's about time that you did. Dennis Hobbs set the fastest lap of the race, breaking through to the front yesterday, so he is on pole position ahead of Morris and Nutt. And then Gyver, Alistair Fagan, who put in quite a performance yesterday, is in the middle of row 2 ahead of Darren Fry. But the big 3 men are on the front row with Rob Gyver just behind them, so this could just prove to be another rather entertaining race. There is the 10-point gap between Leon Morris and Dennis Hobbs. Marty Nutt 54 points off now, despite that brilliant second place finish yesterday, is third. Rob Gyver, after numerous problems, is in 4th place. He's been up and down like a yo-yo in this championship, with Darren Fry 5th, Sean Neary just 3 points back in 6th place ahead of Jonathan Railton, and Alistair Fagan is joint 8th there in the championship. Mark Cheetham in 11th place, 12th for Fowler, and that's the rest of them down to Dawson in 20th.
5 at Brands Hatch. And
Dennis Hobbs from Kelty up near Knockhill on the P&H Motorcycles Carl Cox Motorsport Ducati leads his teammate Leon Morris and Marty Nutt on the front row of the grid. The second row, Gyver, Fagan, Fry. The third row, Railton, Brown and Cheetham. And the 4th row, Ferns, Schutz and Gil Fallon. Rolling up onto the starting grid for the second Ducati TriOptions Cup race of the weekend then. Dennis Hobbs won yesterday's race from Marty Nutt, Rob Gyver and Leon Morris, with Alistair Fagan a brilliant 5th for the motorcycle journalist ahead of Jonathan Railton, Aaron Brown, Darren Fry, David Ferns, and the interloper, the Dutch wildcard, Nadia Schutz, for Schutz Racing, finished
and Nadia
top
was
10.
she earlier in the year predicting a podium for herself here at Assen at her home round, so hopefully, she made a terrible start yesterday. Hopefully that will be better today. Great to see the Gilfillan brothers back, the two Scots, Sean and Greg Gilfillan. Had a few technical problems, but they're back in action here, desperately trying to beat one another.
Yesterday, by the way, the man who got the better of it was Greg Gilfillan. In 12th place, got the better of his brother Sean in 13th. So expect another squabble between the Scottish brothers again here today.
Completely dry conditions. I suspect on the damp patches we'll see the riders trying to cool their tyres down as they move round, but the track is drying by the second. You can see the wet fronts on all of these bikes there.
This could play into Rob Gyver's hands, couldn't it?
It really could. Dry tyres front and rear. Yeah, he's going to be in good shape.
If he can survive the early stages, let's see what happens with bike number 13. The man on pole is the man chasing the championship, Dennis Hobbs. He's got to try and get off the line alongside his waspish. Oh, and he doesn't manage to. Look at that, the speed of Leon Morris off the line, and he surges to the front. Marty Nutt cuts through, and Dennis Hobbs is pushed back to 4th place by the time he reaches turn 1.
Yeah, Leon Morris always says he's got a great power-to-weight ratio, but he struggles with his size changing direction, especially through the fast sections. He says, everyone says I've got a great, it's lucky being small, but he says there's other parts of the racetrack it's not so good for me. So, but he's certainly got off the line good using that power-to-weight ratio. Oh, we've got a rider down. Is that one of the Gilfillans?
It's a man in orange and black with an orange and black bike. He's rushing to pick it up now, but it looks like, of course, he will be out of the race very, very early. And what a shame, so early in the race. And I think it's number 34, Louis Dawson, from number 94, sorry, has gone down. It is a Gilfillan. It's the... Oh, Greg Gilfillan's
Greg,
down.
yeah, disaster. Fortunately, he's all right. But Marty Nutt, he's made a great... Oh, sorry, that's not Marty Nutt. Is that...
It's Marty Nutt running second.
Yeah, Marty Nutt. Great start for him, and soon closed that gap on Leon Morris.
And number 40 on the smaller machine. Look, Jonathan Railton, revelling in these slightly sketchy conditions, has run straight into 3rd place.
Yeah, we've got a championship within a championship here at the 848s that are still part of the Ducati TriOptions Cup, and Jonathan Railton choosing to run the 848 this year. Didn't quite get comfortable on the 899 Panigale, but doing a great job, and regularly the first 848 home. But look at Marty Nutt. You know, on paper this championship can be won today if Marty Nutt doesn't finish. I'm sure he's got every intention of finishing and on the podium.
So Marty Nutt then pressing hard as he comes round to try and get the inside line on Leon Morris, breaking hard into the Gert Timmer chicane, and he just does enough to grab the advantage. Oh, runs a little bit wide and deep. That will give Leon Morris the chance to get bucket loads of power down and swoop round the outside onto the start straight. Back to the front then, swoops Leon Morris. Nutt, Railton, Gyver, Hobbs in 5th. Fagan, Cheetham, Neary, Ferns, Brown. That's the top 10.
Yeah, great start there for Rob Gyver, number 13. And like I said, if he is on the right tyres, he's already diving under Jonathan Railton on his 848. So Rob Gyver up into 3rd position. You can see him there just in your shot on the yellow and black machine, heading round to slowest part of the racetrack. Left-hander here onto the back straight, around 30 mile an hour on these bikes, or on any bike indeed. But Rob Gyver, he'll be smiling if he is got these dry tyres, and he'll be smiling knowing he's made the right tyre choice. You see there are still damp patches on the track, but the majority now is dry.
So Rob Gyver, who's had 1 race win, and that was the 2nd race of the series at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, way back in the back of beyond in April, is hovering in 3rd place behind these two. He has got tyres that may well suit the drying conditions better than the 2 leaders.
And the 2 main championship contenders there are the ones that are trying hard to beat each other. But Dennis Hobbs, he's struggling. He's going backwards there. He's already back in 5th position, while he's championship leader at the moment, Leon Morris, in front. Look at Rob Gyver, number 13, close right in on Marty Nutt now.
So an promising looking start then already in these early stages. I wrongly predicted that Rob Gyver would mainly need to stay safe in the opening stages, but obviously he's judged this just right. The conditions are ideal for what he's got on board. He'll need to stay on the dry line, I suspect, though, and be a little cautious where the spray kicks up.
Yeah, cautious is the word, and you saw the spray there as he flicked through that fast section. 5th gear through there into 4th gear as he heads round that final left-hander. But Rob Gyver's got plenty of time. He just needs to be patient. He's a shortened race coming on the 3rd lap of 7, but Rob Gyver has got plenty of time. So he's getting the drive out there on down the side of Marty Nutt. I'd imagine he'll be able to pass him as they head into turn 1.
Gyver Gyver looking for an early apex, but look at Marty Nutt. He wants it again, dives through on the inside of Leon Morris and snatches back the advantage at the front.
Gyver, he's got the side grip, he's got the front grip, he's easily able to pass Leon Morris there. Leon Morris just adjusting his riding position, his head round the long right-hander and back to the hairpin.
So the man on the black and yellow machine then, just turned 29-year-old Rob Gyver, the vehicle sprayer from Rainham in Essex, the former Triumph triple champ, has now munched his way through to second place. Perhaps it's only a matter of time before he gets the better of race leader number 1, Marty Nutt.
And it's such a luxury when you do end up in that position with the right tyres for the dry and track conditions. You know you're in good shape, you know you don't have to take any risks, you can just wait there and pick your opponents off when the track conditions are right. But Leon Morris is fighting back, he hasn't given up yet. These Pirelli tyres that they're on, actually the front wets, if you're on dry suspension settings and maybe a little bit extra pressure, they do work well and they last. You won't get the grip of a dry tyre, but they certainly won't chew up, and they'll give you a good consistent feel all the way to the end of the race.
Dennis Hobbs has just begun to make a move in the background. He needs to. His lap time so far have been way down on these guys as we watch Rob Gyver look for a way round Marty Nutt. But once again, as he approaches the single dry line, he'll just have to go in file astern.
Yeah, you have to be careful through these sections. If you've got these dry tyres, especially the rear, when you close the throttle, there's a lot of engine braking with the 899 Panigale, and you don't want the rear end to come round, so really just has to tiptoe through any of the damper sections. No surprise, Rob Gyver already fastest lap of the race. Now it goes to Marty Nutt just on that lap, 150.358, so Marty Nutt hasn't given up things yet.
Across the line then, Hobbs through into 4th place, but he's not managing to hold. He's 2 seconds a lap off the pace of these guys, so that does not look promising for the man originally from Gisborne in North Yorkshire. He trails in 4th place. This is where all the action is. Rob Gyver looks round to cut up the inside, but Marty Nutt, riding a very, very experienced man, riding a very, very adept race here.
It really is. Marty there with the #1 plate on, the defending champion on the 848 challenge last year. So Marty Nutt, and the championship for him is still mathematically possible. It looks like it will be either Leon Morris or Dennis Hobbs that wins it, but Marty Nutt mathematically can still win it. And of course there's 50 points left, the remaining 2 rounds at Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time.
So Nutt, 37-year-old, former regular in the British Supersport Championship. His dad Billy, of course, Fable. Look at this. Wow, what a move by Leon Morris. Swoops round the outside, leaving Rob Gyver to splash his way through where he didn't really want to be on the track then. So Gyver, perhaps it's not working out too much for him. Oh, I don't know though.
Well, in racing manoeuvres, that's called striping your opponent. Striped him with some black and yellow paint underneath Leon Morris, and oh, look at the damp patches. That's so risky. That's so risky, and he's on dry tyres there, out in the curbs, and the curbs hold the water. There's little dimples in the curbs, but he obviously got frustrated and just nailed it. But that was a risky manoeuvre.
I thought that was quite incredibly courageous. It was like, do you know what? I don't want to be messed around with anymore. I've got to clear off from these guys.
I think he underestimated how damp these curbs could be. I remember a few years ago in World Superbike, Jakob Schmerz had a similar manoeuvre where it ended in tears.
Marty Nutt just momentarily loses that second place, but he's determined to cut back underneath. Morris has the inside line. Nutt holds it. It's a feisty display by the Irishman.
And now Rob Gyver has the fastest lap of the race, no surprise, at 148.936, and you can see now dry tyres coming into the road. He's got frustrated, he's got angry, he's pulled the pin and he's checked out.
Apparently when Chinrod gets angry, he can get angry as well. So the waspish little paint sprayer takes off into the distance, at least at the moment, leaving these two to wrestle over rather precious 20 points. And at the moment, it's the Ducati Coventry JHP machine of Marty Nutt, #1, leading Leon Morris.
He certainly is. And a bit further down the field, Sean Neary, who had a rear shock problem yesterday on the Dutour 899 Panigale this week. He's in 5th position, which is great. Jonathan Railton on the 848, Mark Cheetham the next 848 in 7th position, and Dave Ferns another 848 in 8th. So them having a great showing there. Alistair Fagan, the man we talked about earlier, he's in 10th position. The Van Works and Southwest Karting sponsored machine, but Alistair will be disappointed with a 10th position at this point of the race.
A Alistair Fay, a much smaller man than I realised, running in 10th place ahead of Holden, Fowler, Fry, Humphreys and Pearce. They are the point scorers at the moment.
And he says, Alistair says, he's completely inspired this year. He's going to be full on, he's going to be back, he's going to be fitter, leaner and faster next year. So he's up for more action already in 2015 with the Panigale.
Rob Gyver illustrating here what might have been, really, Neil, because he's had a troubled season with odd mechanical and odd breakdowns and things afflicting his year, but he's been very, very fast when everything's held together.
He's a fast rider, he's a championship winner. He opened his campaign with a win at Brands Hatch, the first round of the season, so we know the potential in there. He's just had a bit of bad luck, and you see these guys wobbling around, and that's maybe a bit of the tyres, a bit of soft suspension on a dry track. And
it's not often that Jonathan Railton's headed on the 848, but Dave Ferns, number 7, and Mark Cheatham, number 21, have got the better of him here, look. And it's really rarely that anyone on an 848 gets around Railton.
Yeah, Dave Ferns celebrating his birthday earlier in the weekend, so I'm not sure. I said he didn't look 21, but he doesn't look 41 either, so I'm not sure what age he is. But yeah, having a great time here, and yeah, a great part of the TriOptions Cup, Dave, and enjoying riding his bike there. Number 7 Ferns, now the leading 848, having a look behind. He's got a problem, commentator's curse, or what?
Or did he just miss a gear? Because he suddenly looked anxiously under his armpit there.
Oh, got a faller.
And another man go down. It's that's number 55, Chris Richardson from Bristol, on the silly racing Ducati. Well, that was a silly move, Chris. He's gone down. Meanwhile, at the front, Gyver setting fastest lap on fastest lap. Nutt is beginning to consolidate second place. Morris in third. Hobbs simply not able to get anything like the pace around this track that his teammate has. There's Morris going out of picture. Next man into picture will be Dennis Hobbs. There he is.
Yeah, Dennis
is chased by Sean Neary, and then that gaggle of riders headed now by number 21, Mark Cheatham, who is the leading 848 on that yellow machine with the red number plate.
Yeah, quick reshuffle of the 848s. Now Dave Ferns at the back of the number 7, sorted out whatever problem he has. And like you say, maybe just a misgear, but he's charging through. Looks like he's going to get back past Railton as head into the chicane. He has to be careful there. It's a tricky manoeuvre, but safely through this time.
So that is the battle for the 848 honours. Absolutely tooth and nail then across the line. Cheatham, Ferns, Railton side by side. Railton moves inside on bike number 40, and Mark Cheatham almost lost 2 places in one fell swoop, but holds on there to an overall 8th place.
Yeah, Dave Ferns super confident on the Amigo racing machine. Like you said, it was weird how he looked behind, but no problems now.
I think it must have just been a missed gear, Neil, because he just lost all momentum.
He's made another mistake. That's too wide there, Dave. You don't want to be doing that. The other guys are going to get in your slipstream now. He's wide again. Not sure what's going on there.
Now, his main thing is not to miss a gear here. He's okay now. Doesn't have to look anxiously over his shoulder in case he gets punted. Cheatham's trying to get in his slipstream as they come down the Wienschlein.
Looks like Dennis Hobbs is in the safe position. Sean Neary at one point was getting a bit closer, but he now is 2.5 seconds. So Dennis will be disappointed with the 4th position, but still that championship is still alive.
Gyver's set another fastest lap at 1:46.3. He's over 2 seconds faster than anybody else on track. So Gyver, Nutt, Morris are the front 3. This is the battle for 848 honours. And here is Rob Gyver, would you believe it, on the high side racing Ducati, really stamping his authority on this race. He didn't win when he started from pole yesterday. He's well and truly won this time from the second row of the grid. His 2nd race win of the weekend. And Chinrod is well chuffed. 2nd place to Marty Nutt, the reigning champion. 3rd place to the ex-champion, Leon Morris. But he will extend his advantage in the championship over 4th place, Dennis Hobbs, number 25. A disappointing outing for the Scottish-based North Yorkshireman.
Yeah, damage limitation for Dennis there. Leon Morris, the championship leader, in 3rd, and Dennis in 4th. So
would you believe it? Jonathan Railton manages to regroup, recover and snatch victory from Ferns and Cheatham as they cross the line. So Jonathan Railton once again tops the 848 category.
He's a class act as Railton on the Bose clubbing machine. So yeah, he got it together at the end, and once again, the best 848.
There's the high-side racing Ducati and Rob Gyver, the Triumph Triple Challenge champion in 2012, the British Supersport Cup champion of 2013, and before that, of course, twice runner-up in the British 125 GP Championship. He's a colourful character, great racer, and he's won in style here with making a brave tyre choice that worked out just fine. The second race of the weekend at Assen in the Ducati TriOptions Cup. A race victory, a convincing one for Rob Gyver on the high-side Ducati ahead of Marty Nutt and Leon Morris, who extends his championship lead over Dennis Hobbs in fourth, with Aaron Brown and Sean Neary fifth and sixth, and the 848 enjoying a stirring battle, which eventually saw Jonathan Railton snatch the verdict from Dave Ferns and Mark Cheetham. 11th place went to Humphreys ahead of Pierce, Holden, Fowler, and the final point scorer is Wilson. The championship standings look rather like this then. Once again, Leon Morris pulls out that little bit of an advantage. It's up to 13 points with 2 races left to come at Silverstone. Marty Nutt in third place, theoretically, even mathematically out of it now. Rob Gyver improves his standing in fourth ahead of Darren Fry and Sean Neary. Jonathan Railton, 7th overall and leading 848 ahead of Brown, Fagan and Ferns. Mark Cheetham on the second of the 848s is 11th place ahead of Fowler, Holden, Humphreys, Wilson. The 2 killed villains, one of whom crashed out in that second race, separated now by 6 points in 16th and 17th ahead of Mann, Hale and Dawson.
Yeah, and third place in that Ducati TriOptions Cup race was Leon Morris. Leon, third today, but you extend your lead in the championship, which I guess is the most important thing right now.
Yeah, yesterday wasn't the best for us. We got completely mugged at the last chicane, which Assen always provides some good racing, especially at the last few turns, but unfortunately I was on the receiving end of it. So the key is to beat Dennis. We've got 2 rounds left. That's a tricky race, you know. Front was wallowing all over the place. Fair play. Rob's the only one on a full set of dries, and it was the route to go, but it's probably the safest route to go wet front, dry rear, which is what I and the rest of the grid did, or most of the grid. But really happy. We'll take it to Silverstone and hopefully bring back the big trophy for the P&H Carl Cox team.
Thanks, well done, Leon.
No worries, cheers.
And second place in that race, also using a wet front tyre there. It looked like it was a battle sometimes, Marty, just to get to the end.
Yeah, it was. We'd spied Rob's tyres on the grid, so we knew he'd be coming through, and I couldn't race with it. I just let him go, you know. So me and my new Leon was in the same setup as ourselves, so I had to beat Leon. So I'm pleased with that. We've had a good weekend. So my mechanic there, Rick, is brilliant. See, when it comes to FE settings, he just nails it every time. So I have full confidence in him that he sends me out in as good a bike that's there, and it just makes it so much easier for a rider.
To be fair, just looking at the front tyres there, they're in pretty good nick, aren't they?
Yeah, those Pirelli wets always do that. You start to feel them rolling around and you think it's tearing, and you come in and look at it and they're still mint. You could have probably done the same length again on it. They're brilliant, so they are.
Great result today. Well done, Martin.
Thanks, guys.
OK, and winner of that race, second victory of the season for Rob Gyver. And Rob, a bit of a gamble there, I think, on the tyres, but it paid off.
Yeah, I was a little bit pushed into that gamble. We got on the grid and everyone was changing, and I said to my team, I think we should put a wet front in. They went, we ain't got the wets on the grid. So I sort of forced into it, really. But no, it was a pucker choice. Brilliant race. It's been a long time coming. We've been a bit unlucky this year, but big thanks to the eyesight boys who's got me out there, and all my sponsors, Huiku, Heavenly Spaces, I think I got that right. All my team. It's just, it's been fantastic. Armamoto Levers, Alex. Nice one.
I'm sure there'll be members of your team claiming it was a genius decision back in the garage this evening, man.
Well, last night we put some cable ties around the fence because they was flapping, so that seemed to have won me the race, called it to them.
Brilliant. Well, however you did it, well done.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
The Ducati TriOptions Cup then, a brilliant start by little Leon Morris, the former champion, bursting through from the middle of the front row of the grid ahead of Marty Nutt. The reigning champion, though, was not to be denied and made a forceful move to the front as they dropped into the Gert Timmer chicane at the end of the first lap. Behind them, a brilliant start by the 848 of Jonathan Reuter, but look at that move by Morris. He swoops back to the front, and Rob Gyver also makes a move. He, of course, having been enforced into riding with those dry tyres, could only watch as Morris and Nutt scythe backwards and forwards until he cuts through inside Morris and grabs second place. But not for long. He had to splash his way through water he didn't want to find as Morris comes around the outside. And that induced a fabulous bit of red mist for Chinrod. He just blasted through with the inside of one man, right round the outside of the other. Had a monumental moment, but unfazed, he took the lead and began to disappear into the distance, leading Leon Morris to have another bash at nailing Martin Nutt. But Nutt wasn't going to be denied, and he bravely lunged back underneath him. The Irishman now into second place. But for Rob Gyver, it was going to be his second race win since the first round at Brands Hatch Indy. Great ride by Gyver.
So Rob Gyver then celebrates his second victory of the season in the Ducati TriOptions Cup. We're going to take a little break now. When we come back, though, the racing continues with the Moto British Motor Star and ONK Dutch Moto 3 Championship combined.